strength training is mobility training, and the very act of lengthening and shortening muscles under an appropriate load in a progressive way means that you should acquire an active range of motion, i.e. range of motion that you have control over, versus trying to achieve range of motion through passive stretching, where you are essentially throwing yourself into a position and hoping that your stretch reflex will shush and be quiet until you feel better. Now, where we do feel tight and stiff and we do a lot of resistance training, that typically comes from a lack of movement. And I know you're thinking, but hang on a minute, I train 3, 4, 5 days a week, I'm dedicated to moving my body. Cool, but you're probably spending time in one of 3 planes of motion. So we have the sagittal plane, which is where we tend to move forwards and backwards. And if a lot of your training means that you are face onto a mirror for all of your exercises, you're probably staying in the sagittal plane. And what would likely be beneficial to you is moving also in the frontal plane, side to side, and the transverse plane, which is the rotation. And you're not going to get that by doing a few token cable wood chops, by the way. You need to be building in exercises that involve these movement patterns. We are meant to shift our weight from side to side. That's how we actually walk. We have a reciprocal movement pattern between the ribs and the pelvis. So our weight is shifting side to side with each step. So it makes sense that we also utilize those movement patterns when we're strength training. So have a think. If you feel tight and stiff, and if you've been spending time stretching and it's not getting you anywhere, maybe you need to think about some exercises in other planes of motion to add to your training.